Hello, good day everyone. I am Hannah Belumake, the leader of the Group 2. And here we also have Miss Ariana Mia Esteron and Miss Dimple Bilala. And we are going to tackle about immunization. At this point, I will present to you the table of contents. And at this juncture, I am going to share our learning objectives. So at the end of this lesson, students will able to first understand the importance of immunization. Second, also differentiate the types of vaccines. Third, be acquainted what are the vaccines and disease it prevents. And lastly, to know the national immunization schedule. So at this moment, I am going to define the different terminologies related to immunization. First, we have immunization. It is the process of giving a vaccine to a person to protect them against disease. Immunity by immunization is similar to the immunity a person would get from disease. But instead of getting the disease, you get a vaccine. This is what makes vaccines such powerful medicine. We also have antigen. And according to biology, it is any of the various substances that when recognized as non-self by the immune system will trigger an immune response. Examples are allergens, blood group antigens, human leukocyte antigens, substances on the surface of foreign cells, and toxins. We also have toxin. So a toxin is a poison, frequently used to refer specifically to a protein or conjugated protein substance produced by some higher plants, certain animals, and pathogenic bacteria that is highly toxic for other living organisms. If we have toxin, of course, we also have antitoxin. So it is formed in the body by the introduction of a bacterial poison and capable of neutralizing the toxin. So people who have recovered from bacterial illnesses often develop specific antitoxin that confer immunity against recurrence. Next, we have toxoids. So these are used extensively in the production of vaccines. The most prominent examples being the toxoids of diphtheria and tetanus, which are often given in a combined vaccine. We also have here immunizing agents. So these are any substance or organism that provokes an immune response when introduced in the body. We also have here the vaccine. So it is a preparation that is used to stimulate the body's immune response against diseases. Vaccines are usually administered through needle injections, but some can be administered by mouth or sprayed into the nose. Next, we also have immunoglobulins. These are also known as antibodies. These are glycoprotein molecules produced by plasma cells. They act as a critical part of the immune response by specifically recognizing and binding to a particular antigens, such as bacteria or viruses, and aiding in their destruction. And lastly, we also have the anti-sera. These are used to determine which antigens are on the red cells. The test using anti-sera and the patient's red cells is called the front cell group. At this point, I am also going to differentiate the different types of vaccines and give examples of each type. So first in the list, we have the attenuated vaccine. So it is a vaccine developed by reducing the virulence of the pathogen. It remains replication competent after administration. The attenuated vaccine is categorized into two vaccines. So first we have the attenuated bacterial vaccines, which include the BCG or the Bacillus calmette-guerin vaccine, cholera, tularemia, thyroid fever vaccine. And we also have here the attenuated viral vaccine, which include the varicella, measles, mumps, and polio. Second, we also have here the inactivated vaccines. So these are suitable for healthy individuals, as well as people with weakened immune system, as they do not contain live forms of the microorganism which they are designed to protect against. Examples of inactivated vaccines include inactivated poliovirus vaccine or the IPV. We also have here the whole cell pertussis vaccine, and then rabies vaccine, and the hepatitis A virus vaccine. Third, we have here the subunit vaccines. So these vaccines do not contain any whole bacteria or viruses at all. Instead, they contain some components such as polysaccharides or proteins from bacteria or viruses. Examples of subunit vaccines include the hepatitis B and cellular pertussis vaccines, the pneumococcal polysaccharide vaccine,
Lyme disease vaccine, and whooping cough vaccine.
Thank you for that, Miss Hannah. Hello, good morning everyone. I am Ariana. So here I'll be discussing what a conjugate vaccine is. So a conjugate vaccine is a type of subunit vaccine which combines a weak antigen with a strong antigen as a carrier so that the immune system has a stronger response to the weak antigen. And a successful conjugate vaccine have been made by conjugating bacterial capsular antigens to molecules that stimulate the immune system to produce antibodies against the less antigenic capsular antigens. So here are some of the examples: Haemophilus, influenza, conjugate vaccine, and a pneumococcal conjugate vaccine or a Prevnar. So here's another type of vaccine which is called toxoid. Some bacteria release toxins or poisonous proteins when they attack the body. The immune system recognizes these toxins in the same way it recognizes antigens on the surface of bacteria. And some vaccines made with inactivated versions of these toxins, and then they are called toxoids because they look like toxins but they are not poisonous. A toxoid vaccine is an exotoxin that has been inactivated or made non-toxic by heat or chemicals. Toxoids can be injected safely to stimulate the production of antibodies that are capable of neutralizing the exotoxins of pathogen, such as tetanus, botulism, and diphtheria. Next is a DNA vaccine. This type of vaccine would hopefully produce better protection like a live virus vaccine, but with even less likelihood of producing disease. It would not contain the actual disease causing part of the germ and therefore could not cause the disease. Currently, DNA vaccines or gene vaccines are only experimental. A particular gene from a pathogen is inserted into plasmids, and the plasmids are then injected into skin or muscle tissue. At present, human trials are underway with several examples of DNA vaccines, including those for malaria, AIDS, influenza, Ebola, and herpes virus. The last type of vaccine is the autogenous vaccine. An autogenous vaccine is one that has been prepared from bacteria isolated from a localized infection, such as staphylococcal boil. The pathogens are killed and then injected into the same person to induce production of more antibodies. Examples are Mycoplasma bovis, Clostridium perfringens, and Staphylococcus aureus. We are now moving forward to the different vaccine-preventable diseases. So first one is measles. On your screens, you can see a person with measles. And what is measles? So measles is a highly contagious viral infection that involves the respiratory system, including the lungs and breathing tubes. So how can a person have measles? How can you get it? How you get it? The measles virus gets into the air when someone who has it coughs or sneezes. And it can also last for up to 2 hours on something they touch. And most people who are not immune, and 90% will get it if they are near an infected person. So why it's serious? It's serious because it can cause pneumonia, brain swelling, even worse, and then worse is death. And then before the vaccine was discovered, over 3 to 4 million people got measles, and 48,000 were hospitalized, and 400 to 500 people died. So next is whooping cough or pertussis. So a whooping cough or pertussis is a lung infection that makes it hard to breathe due to severe or non-stop coughing. So people can breathe in the pertussis just like the measles when a person who has it coughs or sneezes. So why it is serious? It is serious because it can be life-threatening. It can cause death, especially in babies less than 1 year old. Whooping cough can lead to pneumonia, seizures, slowed or stopped breathing. So let's now move on to the next one, flu. So what it is? A flu is a viral infection, a contagious respiratory illness caused by influenza viruses that infect the nose, throat, and sometimes the lungs. So how can you get it? How can someone have flu? So when someone with the flu coughs, sneezes, or talks, droplets can spread up to 6 feet away. So just like measles and whooping cough, it can also spread through air when someone who has it coughs or sneezes. But unlike those, people can also get the virus from by touching something that the sick person touched and then touching their own nose or mouth. So why it is serious? Up to 61,000 Americans die from the flu each year. The flu creates severe complications for people with asthma or diabetes. So here we have another disease called polio. So what it is? A polio is a viral disease that affects the muscles, and it is also known as poliomyelitis. It is a disabling and life-threatening disease caused by the polio virus. The virus spreads from person to person, and it can infect a person's spinal cord, causing paralysis, and which means a person can't move parts of the body. So how can you get it? The polio virus lives in the intestines. You can get infected by coming into contact with a sick person's feces. So why it is serious? Most people get no symptoms or flu-like symptoms that last a few days, but polio can cause brain infection, paralysis, and death. It was one of the most feared and devastating diseases of the 20th century. Polio cases are down sharply thanks to vaccination, but the disease is not gone from the world. So next, we have pneumococcal disease. So what it is? It is a bacterial disease that can cause many types of illness, including pneumonia, ear and blood infections, and meningitis, which affects the brain and spinal cord. So how can a person get it? A person can get it by coming into contact with an infected person's mucus or saliva. So the pneumococcal disease is spread from person to person through coughing, sneezing, and close contact. Some people, especially children, can carry the bacteria in their nose and throat without being sick and can spread the bacteria to others. So why it is serious? Complications can be serious and fatal. As pneumonia, it's especially deadly in people older than 65 years old. If it causes meningitis or infects the blood, this can be life-threatening. So thank you. We are now moving on to the next reporter, Miss Bilala.
So, thank you, Miss Ariana. Hello, everyone. I'm Dimple. So, next is tetanus. What is tetanus? It is a bacterial disease that causes lockjaw, breathing problems, muscle spasms, paralysis, and death. How can you get it? The bacteria that causes tetanus is found in soil, dust, and manure. It can get in your body through a cut or open sore. Why it's serious? 10% to 20% of tetanus cases are fatal. Deaths are more common in people who are older than 60 or who have diabetes. So next is meningococcal disease. So what is meningococcal disease? It is a bacterial disease that can cause meningitis, an infection and swelling of the brain and spinal cord. It can also infect the blood. So how can you get it? It is caused by bacteria that live in the back of an infected person's nose and throat. It can spread through kissing or just living with someone who is infected. Symptoms are usually fever that starts suddenly, headache, and stiff neck. Getting diagnosed and treated ASAP is key. Why it's serious? Between 1,000 to 1,200 people in the US get meningococcal disease each year. Even with antibiotics, as many as 15% die. Next is hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is a chronic liver disease caused by the hepatitis B virus. So how can you get it? People with hepatitis B have the virus in their blood and other bodily fluids. Adults usually spread it through sex or sharing needles. A pregnant woman can pass it to their baby. Hepatitis B is 100 times more infectious than HIV, the disease that causes AIDS. Why it's serious? It can lead to liver cancer and other long-lasting liver diseases, So the last one is mumps. Mumps is the disease caused by a virus that gives people swollen salivary glands, a fever, headache, and muscle aches. It also makes you feel tired and curbs your appetite. So how can you get it? When someone with mumps coughs or sneezes, the virus gets into the air and other people can breathe it in. Why it's serious? It can lead to meningitis and causes long-lasting health problems, including deafness and sterility in men. Mumps is now rare in the US thanks to the MMR vaccine, but outbreaks still happen usually among people spending time close together, like living in a dorm.
Hello again! So at this point, I am presenting the table for National Immunization Schedule. So the purpose of the recommended immunization schedule is to protect the infants and children by providing immunity early in life, before they are exposed to potentially life-threatening diseases. To sum it up, immunization is a global health and development success story, saving millions of lives every year. Vaccines reduce risk of getting a disease by working with your body's natural defenses to build protection. When you get a vaccine, your immune system responds. We now have vaccines to prevent more than 20 life-threatening diseases, helping people of all ages live longer and healthier lives. Immunization currently prevents 2 to 3 million deaths every year from diseases like diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, influenza, and measles. Immunization is a key component of a primary healthcare and an indisputable human right. It is also one of the best health investments money can buy. Vaccines are also critical to the prevention and control of infectious disease outbreaks. They underpin global health security and will be a vital tool in the battle against antimicrobial resistance. And that's the end of our discussion. We hope that you've learned something. Don't hesitate, let's vaccinate. Bye!